Welcome back, passive income investors alike, on how to retire in 10 years or less without having $1 million in cash. And you might be thinking to yourself, hey Kyle, it's pretty hard to retire if you don't have a bank load of money, but I'll rebuttal you by saying, hey, if you could cash flow 6 figures a year while you sleep, isn't that the equivalent of being retired? Because the two strategies we're gonna go over today require you to not only be making money and investing that money, but also investing your sweat equity into what we're gonna call passive income generating sources. And in fact, I'm only gonna give you a very general strategic view of how to look at this year over year and make sure you're on the right track to getting to that financial independence, as I have personally done by tracking it on my whiteboard back here. And I currently sit over $250,000 cash flowing 6 figures a year. And I'm going to break that down for you right now. So in the clarity of my transparency, do the channel a favor, just hit that like button, folks. And let me start off by saying, you gotta have no debt, no student loans, no car loans, literally no credit card debt at all, guys, or these strategies are gonna be a complete waste of time, because you need your money to work for you passively. Because if your money's not working for you, you're working for your money, and that means you're gonna be working until the day you die. So once all that crap is out of the way, the first thing you're gonna have to do, guys, and I know it sucks, I know it's hard, but you're gonna have to come up with a way to make an extra $1,000 a month. This is going to be the hardest thing to achieve, but will be the fastest way to retirement. And the second thing we're going to go over will be the investing of your sweat equity, actually putting your time into businesses that once they're set up will cash flow for you. And it's not going to happen overnight, guys. We are talking about a 10-year time period here. So first of all, to kick this off, let's talk about the safest, most secure investment vehicle that honestly exists in the world, that I'm going to show you some crazy numbers and what the next 10 years of investing $1,000 a month in this might look like. And of course, we're talking about the S&P 500 index. And you might be thinking to yourself, Kyle, what the hell is an S&P 500 index? Well, if you've been living under a rock, folks, this little basket of stocks, it's literally a basket of 500 of the largest companies in the US. And over the last 100 years, if you've been invested in this at least for 20 years, you've never lost money. In fact, whether it's Cathie Wood, Warren Buffett, any hedge fund manager, any manager that's trying to sell you on some individual stock like Apple or Microsoft will always tell you that buying this index fund is probably the path of least resistance to actually making a return. And in fact, every hedge fund manager compares themselves to the performance of this, because this generally represents the performance of America year over year. So if you believe in America, you believe in the economy, it's a pretty straightforward place to invest your money and know you're going to sleep easy at night. In fact, this investment vehicle, guys, over a 10-year period has offered, if I can get this to line up, a return of over 20% a year. So let me show you how fanatically insane this gets with a simple $1,000 a month over the next decade, if this is something that continues. And I know this might not continue, guys, but if you believe in the rate of innovation, and that's what I believe, is that the economy is innovating so drastically with companies like Apple, Amazon, Tesla, it's constantly causing this state of disruption that is leading to new technological advancements at a rate we've never experienced. And to put it in an example, think of it this way, guys. You know, when did the first steam engine come out? When did the first printing press come out? When did the first car and plane come out? Now look in the last 20 years, how much has changed in technology between Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and all these companies disrupting everything from shipping to literally the way we order things on our phone. And I think that's going to continue at this explosive rate. That is why we're seeing an above average rate of return from the general market. But putting that confusion aside, guys, if you believe in the rate of innovation, if you believe it's the safest investment in the world, well, let's start making $1,000. And let me show you what would happen if you keep putting $1,000 a month in this ticker symbol VOO. Now, this is presuming you're starting from absolute zero. On an annual basis, that would be about $12,000 a year. We're going to try and grow this over a 10-year time period at an interest rate of that 20% rate of return annually. This would give us roughly $373,805 if you started today. And you might be thinking to yourself, hey Kyle, you can't retire off $373,000. That's not enough money if I need to live on $40,000 a year. That won't even last me a decade. But I'm here to tell you guys what happens if after these 10 years you build up $300,000 and that S&P 500 index continues to offer a rate of return of 20% a year. That would mean on every $100,000, guys, you're going to be making $20,000. So on the $370,000, you are likely to make closer to $70,000 $100,000 a year. And let's say, heck, that's not what happens. Let's say, you only end up getting a 10% rate of return a year. And let me show you the worst case scenario. If that really happens, guys, and we see this kind of come into fruition, that means you'll only be left with $210,000. Ooh, poor muffin. Now that you've only got $210,000 invested and the S&P is only going up 10% a year, you're only making $20,000 a year. God, that's a tough life, guys, making half a year's income. I mean, if that's the worst case scenario, you should have been doing this already. I'm just saying, guys. So putting the S&P 500 index away, the reason we use these compound calculators is because we can take these investment vehicles and understand over a longer period of time where we should be at along our financial independence to one day retire early journey. This is why I go out of my way to make sure month over month I'm writing down my financial goals to make sure I'm on the right path of achieving this. And like I said, guys, I've been doing this for 7 years and I'm already making more than 6 figures a year. But how is that possible if I'm not making all of it off my stock portfolio? Well, this leads us into the second way and the second thing you're going to have to do to retire early, and that is investing your sweat equity into what I'm going to call your side hustle. So let's presume you got no debt, okay? You paid all your debts off. You got a nice income. You're working at a great job. You got some steadiness going on in your life. You got $1,000 you're pumping away into the Vanguard S&P 500 index fund. Now, the next thing you're going to do, because that's all going to operate passively for you on weekends, when you're done work, you need to be investing your time into what I invest into, which is online businesses here, folks. If you want to get some inspiration, go to empireflippers.com. This is an auction site for literal online businesses that generate anywhere from $1,000 a month to over $100,000 a month, and retail anywhere for $50,000 to over millions of dollars. In fact, here's a business in the medical and equipment field for $7.5 million, and it generates $129,000 a month. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and buy one of these businesses. I'm just telling you to go to Empire to get some inspiration, because a lot of these businesses were only created in the last 3 years, and it's very inspirational to know that anybody can do this at a very low cost of virtually nothing. It literally costs anywhere from $100 to $500 to start a website for a whole year, and I promise you, once you start Googling around or going on YouTube and seeing how other people do this, you're going to find a lot of success, guys. And again, this doesn't happen overnight. It could take 5 or 10 years to build up into a decent income generating, machine, but I promise you, if you're willing to put the time and dedication, you will find some form of success. As I'm currently running several online businesses, and let me just give you one as an example here. Here's a website that we started over a year ago that I'm operating with a business partner, and so far, year to date, it has made $2,614, 6% than it did the year prior. However, like I said, I'm splitting this with my business partner, and there is month over month cost for this website. I think it costs us about $40 a month to operate. We're 4 months deep into the year, so we can presume that I've spent maybe $160. So minus 160 out from this, let's just say we made $2,500. Divide that by 2, that means we each made $1,250 US. Divide that by 4, I mean, you're almost looking at $300 extra a month in income here, folks. And now let's plot that $300 a month on just from this one website with my $250,000 stock portfolio that's, generating roughly, it's been averaging about a 20 to 30% rate of return a year. So, I mean, you can presume that I'll make anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 off my stock portfolio, and this one given website will make me an extra $3,000 to $5,000 a year. So you can start seeing how this starts to really accumulate into some really crazy amounts of wealth without me having to put any real effort or time into it at this point. Now, keep in mind, I do have to update these things. I do have to do little incremental things to it, but let's just put it in perspective, guys. I don't need to show up to a 9-to-5 job to operate this website. I can operate this website whether I'm on a beach in the Panamas, whether I'm hanging out in the US with some buddies. Maybe I want to go watch some SpaceX rockets take off next week. I can cleanly walk away from this and know all of this is going to continue to operate in the back end even while I sleep at night. And this is the path, in my opinion, to least resistance to being able to retire in 10 years or less. And to keep this in a nice baseline, guys, you should always have an emergency fund as well, because obviously there's going to be some years where the S&P 500 might not do as well. There might be some years where your income from your websites and all your sweat equity investments aren't doing as well. But being realistic, if you have a 6 to 12 month emergency fund, it will give you some time to adjust these things, maybe shift some stuff around, or even focus on some new income sources or even working a part-time job, because this should easily allow you to at least semi-retire in under 10 years. So at this point, I pass the question off to you. Do you guys find this interesting at all? Is there any other ways or things that I'm missing out that could help you fast track your retirement even quicker? I'd love to hear about it in that comment section below. And if you guys enjoy the passive income investing lifestyle, I highly recommend subscribing to my channel for future updates. But in light of all of this, stay cool, stay awesome, and I look forward to catching you tomorrow.